Stop before you spend another presidential dollar. Watch this first. That ordinary-looking George Washington or Millard Fillmore $1 coin could hide rare collector features that most people never notice. Today, we're exposing the hidden history, famous mint errors, and the tiny details that separate common dollar coins from the examples collectors search for. Don't skip a single second, because one overlooked detail could completely change the way you look at every dollar coin in your collection. Welcome to RE Coins News. Step 1. Imagine holding a single dollar coin that celebrates the beginning of the American presidency. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary golden-colored coin, but look closer, and an extraordinary story begins to unfold. The 2007 George Washington Presidential Dollar was the very first coin released in the Presidential Dollar Program, making it a landmark issue in modern United States coinage. While millions were produced for circulation, this coin represents far more than its $1 face value. It honors the man who became America's first president and marks the launch of a historic coin series that captured the attention of collectors across the nation. When the United States Mint introduced the Presidential Dollar Program in 2007, its goal was to celebrate every deceased president of the United States in the order they served. Naturally, George Washington stood at the beginning of the series because he served as the nation's first president from 1789 to 1797. His leadership helped shape a new republic during one of the most important periods in American history. By placing his portrait on the first presidential dollar, the Mint created a coin that symbolized leadership, independence, and the foundation of the United States itself. For collectors, owning the first coin in any major series has always carried special historical significance. The obverse of the coin features a distinguished portrait of George Washington surrounded by the inscriptions George Washington, First President, and 1789-1797. Unlike many earlier American coins, some of the traditional inscriptions were moved to the edge of the coin. There, collectors find E Pluribus Unum, In God We Trust, the year 2007, and the mint mark. This innovative edge lettering process gave the presidential dollar a unique appearance, unlike most modern circulating coins. It also created one of the most famous mint error stories in recent American numismatic history. The small d on the edge identifies the Denver Mint, one of the largest coin-producing facilities in the United States. The Denver Mint struck millions of George Washington presidential dollars during 2007. Most examples remain common, but collectors continue searching for authenticated mint errors and exceptionally preserved coins. The value of any individual coin depends on its condition, rarity, and whether it possesses a genuine production error, not simply because it bears the 2007 date. Understanding this distinction is one of the first lessons every serious collector learns. Perhaps the most famous story connected with the 2007 George Washington dollar involves the missing edge lettering error, sometimes nicknamed the Godless dollar. In these rare cases, the edge lettering, including In God We Trust, E Pluribus Unum, the date, and the mint mark, was accidentally omitted during production. Because these inscriptions were supposed to be struck separately onto the coin's edge, a small number escaped the mint without receiving them. Authenticated examples became some of the most talked about modern mint errors in American coin collecting. Their popularity reminds us that genuine rarity is created by verified manufacturing mistakes, not by ordinary circulation alone. In the next chapter, we will explore how collectors identify these famous errors, how grading influences value, and why the first presidential dollar continues to hold a unique place in modern American numismatic history. Long before this golden-colored dollar entered circulation, the story behind it had already been written by history itself. George Washington was more than the first president of the United States. He became the symbol of leadership during the birth of a new nation. When the United States Mint selected his portrait to launch the Presidential Dollar Series in 2007, it was making a statement that every great journey has a beginning. That is why the first presidential dollar occupies a special place in modern American coin collecting, representing both the opening chapter of a coin series and the beginning of the American presidency. Unlike traditional coins, the presidential dollar introduced a feature that immediately caught collectors' attention: edge lettering. Instead of placing the year, mint mark, E pluribus unum, and In God We Trust on the front or back, the mint engraved them around the edge of the coin. This unusual production method gave the dollar a distinctive appearance and required an additional manufacturing step after the coin was struck. While the process worked successfully for the overwhelming majority of coins, a very small number missed this final step, creating one of the most famous modern U.S. mint errors. When collectors examine a 2007 D. George Washington dollar, they begin with the edge. A normal coin clearly displays the date, the D mint mark, E pluribus unum, and In God We Trust. If those inscriptions are completely missing, the coin may be one of the well-known missing edge lettering errors. However, experienced collectors never assume a coin is genuine based on appearance alone. They compare it with verified examples and often rely on professional authentication to confirm that the missing lettering resulted from a true mint error rather than post-mint damage or alteration. Another factor that greatly influences collector interest is preservation. A presidential dollar that has spent years in circulation usually develops small scratches, contact marks, and worn surfaces from everyday use. By contrast, coins preserved directly from mint rolls or official sets often retain brilliant luster and sharp details. Because so many examples entered circulation, exceptional condition becomes increasingly important. High-grade certified coins can attract far greater collector demand than ordinary circulated pieces, even when both share the same date and mint mark. The legacy of the 2007 D. George Washington presidential dollar extends far beyond its $1 denomination. It celebrates the nation's first president, introduced a completely new coin series, and produced one of the most famous modern mint errors ever discovered in American coinage. Whether found in change, inherited in a collection, or purchased by a collector, this remarkable dollar reminds us that every coin carries both historical significance and the possibility of teaching us something new. In the next chapter, we will explore grading, collector demand, and the lasting influence this historic dollar continues to have within the world of numismatics. History often hides its greatest stories inside the smallest objects, and the 2007 D. George Washington presidential dollar is a perfect example. At first glance, it appears to be just another golden-colored coin, yet it represents the beginning of an entirely new chapter in modern American coinage. Every detail, from Washington's portrait to the unique edge lettering, was created to honor the nation's first president while introducing collectors to an innovative design unlike any circulating dollar that had come before. That combination of history and craftsmanship continues to make this coin one of the most recognizable issues in the presidential dollar series. Collectors quickly learn that understanding a coin requires more than simply reading its date. They study the sharpness of Washington's portrait, inspect the lettering around the edge, examine the coin under magnification, and compare it with authenticated examples. Tiny differences in strike quality, surface preservation, and minting characteristics can separate an ordinary circulation coin from one that deserves closer attention. This careful approach has always been one of the foundations of numismatics, proving that patience and knowledge are often more valuable than luck. Among the most talked about discoveries involving the 2007 presidential dollar is the authenticated missing edge lettering error. Because the date, mint mark, E pluribus unum, and In God We Trust were added during a separate manufacturing step, a small number of coins left the mint without receiving these inscriptions. These genuine errors immediately attracted attention because they represented an unexpected moment in the production process. Their popularity spread quickly among collectors, making them one of the best-known modern U.S. mint errors. Even so, every suspected example should be professionally authenticated before any conclusions about value are made. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark on the coin's edge, has produced billions of American coins over its long history. Although millions of 2007 D. George Washington dollars were struck, only a tiny fraction display significant verified mint errors or survive in exceptionally high grades. That reality reminds collectors that rarity is created by scarcity, preservation, and documented authenticity, not by the date alone. Most examples remain ordinary circulation dollars, while a small number earn special recognition because they combine historical importance with unusual characteristics. As the years continue to pass, the 2007 D. George Washington presidential dollar remains a lasting tribute to the man who helped shape the United States and to the beginning of a memorable coin program. Whether examined by a beginner searching through pocket change or an experienced numismatist building a specialized collection, this coin encourages curiosity, careful observation, and respect for history. Every time it changes hands, it carries forward the story of America's first president and reminds us that even modern coins can become meaningful historical treasures when viewed through the eyes of a collector. Every generation leaves behind symbols that help future generations understand its history, and the 2007 D. George Washington presidential dollar has become one of those symbols. It was introduced during a time when the United States Mint wanted to inspire a new wave of interest in American history through circulating coins. Instead of creating an ordinary dollar, the Mint launched an ambitious program honoring every deceased U.S. president in chronological order. Because George Washington was first, his presidential dollar became the opening chapter of an entire collection that continues to attract historians and collectors alike. One fascinating aspect of this coin is how easily it can be overlooked. Its golden color often causes people to mistake it for a foreign coin or a commemorative token rather than legal U.S. currency. As a result, many examples spent years sitting in drawers, piggy banks, or forgotten jars instead of circulating widely. This unusual pattern helped preserve countless coins in better condition than expected, giving collectors an opportunity to find attractive examples decades after they were first released. Professional grading has transformed the modern coin market by giving collectors a trusted way to evaluate condition. A 2007 D. George Washington dollar with brilliant original luster, sharp details, and very few contact marks may receive a high grade from an independent grading service. Because so many presidential dollars were produced, exceptional preservation often becomes one of the most important factors influencing collector demand. Two coins struck on the same day can have very different market values simply because one remained untouched while the other circulated for years. The story of this dollar also reminds us why facts matter in coin collecting. Exciting headlines sometimes claim that every old coin is worth a fortune, but experienced collectors know that genuine value comes from documented rarity, outstanding condition, verified mint errors, and sustained collector interest. A famous error, such as the authenticated missing edge lettering variety, can attract significant attention, while ordinary examples generally trade close to face value. Understanding this difference allows collectors to appreciate both the historical importance of the coin and the realities of the marketplace. As we approach the final chapter of this journey, one lesson becomes unforgettable. The greatest reward in numismatics is not simply finding a valuable coin, it is discovering the history hidden inside every design, every inscription, and every carefully struck detail. The 2007 D. George Washington presidential dollar continues to inspire collectors because it represents the beginning of a historic coin series, honors the nation's first president, and demonstrates how even modern coins can become treasured pieces of American history. In the final part, we will bring together everything we have learned and conclude with the enduring legacy of this remarkable presidential dollar. Step 2. Some coins tell the story of a nation, while others introduce us to leaders whose decisions quietly shaped history. The 2010 D. Millard Fillmore presidential dollar is one of those remarkable coins. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary golden-colored $1 coin, but behind its polished surface lies the story of America's 13th president, a leader who guided the country through one of the most challenging periods before the Civil War. Although millions of these coins were produced, collectors continue to study them because they combine presidential history, modern minting technology, and the excitement of searching for genuine mint varieties and high-grade examples. When the United States Mint released the Millard Fillmore Presidential Dollar in 2010, it was continuing the successful Presidential Dollar program that began in 2007. Each coin honored a deceased president in the order they served, allowing Americans to learn more about the nation's leaders through everyday currency. Fillmore served as president from 1850 to 1853, taking office after the death of President Zachary Taylor. His presidency was marked by difficult political decisions and growing tensions between northern and southern states, making his years in office an important chapter in American history. The front of the coin displays a carefully engraved portrait of Millard Fillmore surrounded by the inscriptions Millard Fillmore, 13th President, and 1853. Unlike many traditional U.S. coins, the Presidential Dollar series places several important inscriptions on the edge rather than the front or reverse. Around the edge appear "In God We Trust," "E Pluribus Unum," the year 2010, and the mint mark. This distinctive feature gave the series a unique appearance, while also creating opportunities for some of the most interesting modern mint errors ever discovered by collectors. The small d mint mark identifies the Denver Mint, one of the largest coin-producing facilities in the United States. During 2010, the Denver Mint produced millions of presidential dollars for circulation and collectors. Most examples remain common, but condition plays a major role in collector interest. Coins that have never entered circulation often preserve brilliant mint luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces, making them far more desirable than worn examples that spent years in everyday use. One of the reasons collectors enjoy studying presidential dollars is the possibility of discovering genuine edge lettering errors. Since the edge inscriptions were applied during a separate production step, a small number of coins from the Presidential Dollar series left the mint with missing or incomplete edge lettering. These authenticated mint errors became highly desirable because they represent rare manufacturing mistakes rather than damage caused after the coin entered circulation. Although such errors are uncommon, they remind collectors that even modern minting technology can occasionally produce extraordinary surprises. In the next chapter, we will explore how experts authenticate these coins, why grading matters so much, and how the Millard Fillmore Presidential Dollar continues to earn its place in modern American numismatic history. History often remembers presidents for dramatic speeches or famous battles, but some leaders leave their mark through difficult decisions made during uncertain times. Millard Fillmore became president unexpectedly in 1850 after the death of Zachary Taylor. He inherited a nation divided by growing disagreements over slavery and the future of the United States. Although historians continue to debate many of his decisions, there is no question that his presidency became part of the complex story that eventually led toward the Civil War. The 2010 D Presidential Dollar preserves that chapter of history, allowing every collector to hold a small reminder of a pivotal era in America's past. Unlike ordinary circulating coins that display all their inscriptions on the front and back, the Presidential Dollar series introduced a distinctive feature that immediately captured the attention of collectors. The edge of the coin carries the year, the D mint mark, "In God We Trust," and "E Pluribus Unum." This innovative production method required an additional manufacturing step after the coin was struck. While almost every coin received its edge lettering correctly, a very small number did not, creating authentic mint errors that later became highly sought after by specialists. These verified production mistakes remain one of the most fascinating aspects of the Presidential Dollar series. Experienced collectors understand that rarity alone is not enough to create a desirable coin. Preservation is equally important. A Millard Fillmore dollar that has remained protected since leaving the mint may still display brilliant golden luster, crisp lettering, and nearly flawless surfaces. Another example struck on the very same day may have spent years in circulation, collecting scratches and wear that reduce its appeal. Because millions of these dollars were produced, Collectors often compete for the finest preserved examples rather than simply the oldest ones. High-grade certified coins continue to attract strong interest within the numismatic community. One lesson repeated throughout the world of coin collecting is the importance of separating fact from rumor. Exciting stories sometimes claim that every old dollar coin is worth a fortune simply because it looks unusual. In reality, genuine value depends on documented rarity, professional authentication, exceptional condition, and sustained collector demand. Most 2010 D. Millard Fillmore dollars remain ordinary $1 coins, while authenticated edge lettering errors or exceptionally preserved certified examples may command stronger prices. Understanding this difference helps collectors make informed decisions while appreciating the true history behind every coin. As the story of the 2010 D. Millard Fillmore presidential dollar continues, it reminds us that coins are far more than pieces of metal used in everyday transactions. They preserve the memory of historical figures, reflect the technology of their time, and encourage new generations to explore the nation's past through the smallest details. Every inscription, every carefully engraved portrait, and every authenticated variety contributes another chapter to the fascinating world of American numismatics, proving once again that history is often found in the palm of your hand. There is a quiet excitement that only true collectors understand. It begins the moment an ordinary-looking dollar coin is placed beneath a bright light and examined with patience. Tiny details suddenly become important: the sharpness of the portrait, the quality of the strike, the brilliance of the surface, and the lettering around the edge. The 2010 D. Millard Fillmore presidential dollar rewards that careful attention because it combines modern minting with historical significance, reminding us that every coin has a story waiting to be discovered by someone willing to look closely. One feature that makes the presidential dollar series different from many earlier American coins is its innovative edge lettering. Instead of placing every inscription on the front or reverse, the United States Mint engraved the year, the D Mint mark, "In God We Trust," and "E Pluribus Unum" around the edge. This unusual production method gave the coin a distinctive appearance while also creating opportunities for rare, authenticated manufacturing errors. When a small number of coins left the mint without complete edge lettering, they became some of the most discussed modern varieties among collectors. These genuine errors remain unusual and should always be authenticated before being considered valuable. Collectors also understand that a coin's journey affects its appearance. A presidential dollar stored safely in its original mint roll may still shine with the same brilliance it had on the day it was struck. Another coin that traveled through cash registers, vending machines, and countless pockets for years will naturally show signs of wear. Neither coin has lost its historical importance, but preservation can make a significant difference in collector demand. This is why professional grading has become such an important part of modern numismatics, providing trusted evaluations of authenticity and condition. The story of Millard Fillmore himself adds another layer of meaning to the coin. Serving as the 13th President of the United States from 1850 to 1853, he governed during a period of growing national tension. His presidency remains a subject of historical discussion because many of the issues faced during his administration shaped the country's future. By placing his portrait on a circulating dollar, the United States Mint ensured that millions of Americans would encounter a reminder of this important chapter in presidential history, even if only for a brief moment while handling everyday currency. As we continue exploring the presidential dollar series, one truth becomes increasingly clear. The greatest discoveries are made not through exaggerated promises, but through genuine curiosity, careful research, and respect for history. Whether a collector finds an ordinary 2010 D. Millard Fillmore dollar, a beautifully preserved uncirculated example, or a professionally authenticated mint-era variety, every coin contributes another piece to the remarkable story of American coinage. That enduring connection between history, craftsmanship, and collecting is what continues to inspire enthusiasts around the world. Every coin collector eventually discovers that the greatest treasures are not always the oldest or the most famous. They are the coins that tell unforgettable stories. The 2010 D. Millard Fillmore presidential dollar carries exactly that kind of legacy. It reminds us that every president, whether celebrated or debated by historians, contributed to the continuing story of the United States. That historical connection transforms this $1 coin from simple currency into a lasting reminder of a nation constantly evolving through leadership, challenge, and change. When experienced numismatists evaluate this coin, they focus on far more than the date alone. They inspect the portrait for sharp details, examine the fields for contact marks, check the edge lettering for completeness, and study the original mint luster. Every tiny characteristic contributes to the coin's overall quality. Because millions of examples were struck, only the finest preserved coins or authenticated mint era varieties attract significant collector attention. This careful evaluation demonstrates why knowledge and patience remain the most valuable tools in the world of coin collecting. The Denver Mint, represented by the D mint mark on the coin's edge, has produced billions of American coins throughout its history. Its advanced manufacturing equipment created presidential dollars with remarkable consistency, yet even the most sophisticated technology occasionally allowed unusual production mistakes to escape into circulation. Those rare authenticated errors became prized discoveries because they document real moments in the minting process rather than damage that occurred after the coin entered circulation. Their rarity continues to make them fascinating subjects of study within the numismatic community. Perhaps the most important lesson offered by the Millard Fillmore presidential dollar is that history often survives in unexpected places. A single coin can preserve the memory of a president, the technology of a modern mint, and the artistic work of skilled engravers all at the same time. Whether found in change, inherited from a family collection, or purchased by an enthusiast, each example serves as a small historical record that can be passed from one generation to the next. That ability to connect people with the past is one of the reasons coin collecting continues to grow around the world. As we move toward the conclusion of this remarkable journey, remember that every presidential dollar has a story far greater than its $1 denomination. The true reward of collecting is not simply finding a valuable coin. It is learning the history behind it, recognizing genuine rarity, and preserving these pieces of America's heritage for future generations. Every time you hold a 2010 D. Millard Fillmore dollar, you are holding a small but meaningful chapter of American history in the palm of your hand. As our journey through the 2010 D. Millard Fillmore presidential dollar reaches its final chapter, one powerful truth remains: every historic coin begins as ordinary money. When this presidential dollar first left the Denver Mint, it entered circulation like millions of others, yet over time it became part of collections, history books, and conversations among coin enthusiasts. Its greatest value is not found in myths of instant riches, but in the remarkable story it preserves about America's 13th president and the evolution of modern United States coinage. Many beginning collectors hope to discover an extraordinary rarity overnight, but experienced numismatists understand that the real secret lies in observation, research, and patience. They examine edge lettering, study the quality of the strike, compare certified examples, and learn how genuine mint errors differ from ordinary wear or post-mint damage. Every coin teaches a lesson, whether it becomes a prized collectible or simply deepens a collector's understanding of American history. That commitment to learning is what transforms a casual hobby into a lifelong passion. The Presidential Dollar Series also reminds us that every American president, regardless of popularity or historical debate, contributed to the nation's continuing story. Millard Fillmore governed during one of the most challenging periods in the country's early history, and this coin ensures that his presidency remains remembered by future generations. The inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and "E Pluribus Unum" reinforce the ideals carried on American coinage, while the edge lettering makes this series unlike almost any other circulating dollar in modern history. For collectors, preservation remains one of the greatest priorities. A coin protected from scratches, harsh cleaning, and environmental damage often retains its original beauty for decades. Because millions of 2010 presidential dollars were produced, exceptional condition can make a meaningful difference in collector appeal. Whether a coin is professionally graded or carefully stored in a personal collection, preserving its originality helps protect both its historical significance and its long-term collectible interest. Before you spend another dollar coin, take a closer look. You may not discover a famous authenticated mint era, but you will discover something equally valuable, a deeper appreciation for the history, artistry, and craftsmanship hidden within everyday American currency. Every coin has a journey, every design has a purpose, and every collector begins with a single question: what story is this coin waiting to tell? That curiosity is the true treasure of coin collecting, and it is what keeps the search alive generation after generation.